In the absence of our teacher, I thought it would be good to give you some going home advice. We've had a wonderful week together, and now what? With what's happened this week. And some of you are sticking around for a few days, but still, it's. I overheard someone say, "Wow!" Earlier, I got a lot of information. I feel a little overwhelmed, and you've gotten a lot of information, and you may feel a little overwhelmed. So I want to talk a little bit about what to do with the overwhelm, or how to, what some next steps might be, especially as you go back out in the world. One thing, of course, as you know, everything here is available by offering. I heartily recommend this book by His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Venerable Children. It's downstairs. It's the first in the series of the Library of Wisdom and Compassion called Approaching the Buddhist Path. And it really lays a groundwork for how to think and how to approach the whole array of Buddhist teachings. Now, this Library of Wisdom and Compassion may have 11 volumes, I think. I mean, there's a lot, they're packed. But this is just the start that gives you a sense of where to begin. And His Holiness says in the very first chapter, he says, a spiritual path is essential to human life. I think it's the first sentence in the chapter. A spiritual path is essential to human life. And then he goes on to talk about how, especially in our world, in our 21st century world, the advances in technology and medicine and science have all been moved forward with a wish to improve society and to make life better. And yet, we're so caught up in all of these things, are we actually any happier? Did it do the job? So things are more convenient, perhaps. I mean, there's many ways, if you look back 100 years, 200 years, our society lives much more comfortable, physical, material life, happiness, than our predecessors. But if we really look in our heart, I think it's very clear to see that our scientific advances and our technological advances have not brought us a deeper happiness. And I think that's exactly what brought all of you here. You know that a spiritual path is essential to human life. And what you guys are looking for at this point in your life is to find out, what does that mean for me? How do I develop happiness in this world that's kind of full of a whole lot of things glittering out there that tell me they make me happy? And somehow or another you already get that that's not the whole picture. I know that because you're here. And I know that because I've talked to a lot of you too. And His Holiness says later in this very, very first paragraph, spiritual practice involves transforming our mind. And that's what the foundation of this work has been, and that's what you've been doing for this week. So what I want to talk about a little bit and to really emphasize is that although there's a lot of information, there's volumes and volumes of books, bringing this into our heart takes time. It takes the teachings say our wisdom grows from hearing or learning, thinking, and then meditating. So we have to learn a lot. We have to hear these teachings again and again and again and again. And then we have to take them inside and think, well, is this true for me? How do I know this is true? Don't take any of it on faith. This is not a faith-based, a solely faith-based path of spiritual inquiry. The faith that is important is the faith that comes from our own experience. The faith that says, oh, I've tested this. I get it now because I've tested it and it works for me. So in that way, we have faith or conviction in what we're doing. But it's not like, oh, Buddha said this, so I should do this. Or Venerable Children said this, so I should believe it. Or Geshe Dado said this, and I should believe it. Or His Holiness the Dalai Lama said this, and I should believe it. None of them will say that that's what they want from this experience. Every time His Holiness, I think, every time he has taught online in the last 2 years, he pulls out the example of the Buddha saying, where's the quote? Where there's a spiritual quote where he says, "Do not listen to my teachings just because I'm the Buddha. Test them like a goldsmith tests gold. Rub it, cut it, burn it, check it. And then from your own experience, you know what's true for you." And that's what takes time. So I know when I first learned the Dharma, I was not a young person, I was a middle-aged person, and I got so excited, and I just wanted to take it all in whole. If that was my image. I wanted to eat the whole meal, get it all in. And it took a while to realize that I couldn't digest it. It's not like learning in the way that we're trained in our educational institutions. We can't just go in and take the test and say, okay, I got it. We can't just read and read and read and read and read, or do a report, or go do some lab experiment and call it like, oh, I just got my PhD in the Buddha Dharma. There's no such thing to begin with. I mean, people do have that kind of title, but that's not what we're talking about here. It comes through our life experience. So practicing the Buddha Dharma is a lived experience. And so that's really the main thing, because I know I hear so much enthusiasm from people and lots of good questions, and they're important questions, but we can't. Trying to rush it will just make us crazy. And we already know how to be crazy. So with this thing about hearing or learning, thinking and meditating is really a very helpful way to think about how we grow our wisdom. That we have to hear it, as I said, again, and think about it, talk about it, debate it, argue with it, see if it's true. Is this really true for me? And in that way, you'll know. And if you start to see your mind change, then you begin to have some proof. So I wanted to, I actually might just read this whole section of how His Holiness ends this chapter. It's so beautiful. And this is also my promo for the book. He says, as you begin to learn the Buddha's teachings, you may find that some of them are in harmony with your views on social values, science, and consumerism, and some are not. That's okay. Continue to investigate and reflect on what you learn. In this way, he says, whatever conclusion you reach will be based on reasons, not simply on tradition, peer pressure, or blind faith. The Dharma encompasses an entire worldview, and practice necessitates examining all aspects of your life. Some of the Buddha's ideas will be new to you and may challenge some of your deeply held beliefs. Be open-minded and curious. Investigate these ideas and observe your mind. Observe your mind. And that's what we've been learning this week. How to watch it, how to observe it, what to look for. And then beginning to learn what to do when we see what we see. Check the teachings by using reasoning and apply them to your life to see if they describe your experience. Do not accept them simply because the Buddha taught them, and don't reject them simply because they are foreign to your existing ideas. If you cultivate a broad outlook and a deeper view about the meaning of life, you will understand not only this life, but also the existence of many lives to come. So of course we have to check out that last bit too. Really, many lives to come? I don't know. But check out the evidence and see if that fits for you. And when we do look at that, it's like it gives us so much more possibility. So especially as where you are in your life, we're looking for what does the happiness of this life really mean? What is that about? How do I achieve that in a deep and personal way? And how do I make a meaningful impact in my world? And when my world isn't limited to just the 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years I get, and that's the best you're going to get, then our picture of how what we do, as Venerable Wamsel was saying earlier this week, how what we do matters. The ripples go on and on and on and on. And our potential gets bigger and bigger and bigger, so that our life is not some narrow little thing that we get caught up inside ourselves, or get caught up in today's societal problems, or get caught up in the immediate concern for the political environment that we're in. But we have a much bigger scope within which we develop our spiritual understanding. And that gives us a lot of space to breathe. So when you go out, think about it. Think about this. Keep coming back. You're all on our mailing list, like it or not. We didn't ask you for permission for this. You can certainly unsubscribe at any time, but I suggest that you hang in there with us. You'll get e-newses from us once a month. You'll get a monthly teaching from us. You'll also get updates and information about what events are happening here. Stay in touch. Stay in touch with each other, perhaps, and really use the opportunity we have to learn to change your mind by hearing, studying, continuing to think, continuing to reflect, continuing to test, and then take that into your meditation until we are really meditating and deeply in a wise way. So thank you so much for being here. The skit notwithstanding, we always welcome everyone for this program. It's really enriching for us, and I can tell from your experience that it's enriching for you too. Thanks.